Director of Information Management and Documentation at Center for Research and Innovation in Tourism, and Associate Professor at the School of Hospitality, Tourism and Events, Taylor University, Malaysia. Dr. Kumar, who has two postgraduate degree specialties, a professional master's in hospitality management and international tourism from the University of Toulouse, France, and the other in business administration, MBA marketing from Hamdard University, Pakistan. His research areas include economic impacts, economic modeling, MICE, medical tourism, behavioral studies, etc. He had worked on consultancy and research projects at the national and international levels and authored 45 publications, including research articles and book chapters. Many postgraduate students have graduated under his supervision. He is also an active member of several national and international associations, conferences, and journals. Dr. Jeetesh Kumar is also serving as an associate editor for Asia Pacific Journal Innovation in Hospitality and Tourism, co-editor of two books. Recently, he has offered webinars, guest speeches for universities in the Philippines, India, Japan, Indonesia, China, and Australia. So I heartily welcome Dr. Kumar for this webinar.
Thank you so much, Prof. Shankar, for a brief introduction. Thank you. And thank you so much, Prof. Siddharth, for this invitation. It's my pleasure to share a little of my knowledge, what I know, because I believe in sharing, especially with our beloved students. And the lesson which I have learned during this COVID-19 that we don't have a boundaries, actually. We don't need to travel all around the world or anywhere because of only for the purpose of sharing, actually. And then we have these online portals and all those things. Also, I would like to pay my appreciation to Dr. Rupa for coming in a contact and having this conversation, and then we are here today for this sharing session. So I prepared slides actually because the topic was not pre-decided actually. So we had some casual conversation. What exactly could be the topic which with regards to research, because it depends. So for me, audience is the most important. What is the level of the student? So accordingly, we can talk. Like it's a bachelor's, master's, PhD, or early researcher, young researcher. So I was keep on asking her again and again, what exactly is the objective actually? Either they want to focus on research paper, dissertation, thesis, or final year project, and so on. So accordingly, I have prepared some slides, and I will try my best to finish within 45 to 50 minutes. And this presentation, let me share, and then is it my slides are visible?
Yes, it's visible.
Wonderful. So I prepared this actually the guest lecture in two contexts actually. One is my major focus is on choosing a research title. And then second, when I go through the research title, I will be also focusing on the content of the research actually, that what should be included, what should come first, second, third accordingly, because we believe you should have some introduction, then the body, actual body, and then the concluding remarks actually, without having a proper section actually. And then the research is not complete. It looks like, we started with a nice flow, but ended or in between there was some mistakes or those minor mistakes actually, which creates a major issue. And the title is the most important because we have seen like we have a main title, we have a running title, we have ongoing title or short title, and so on. So I'm sure students have seen different research papers actually, or they can just go to the Google Scholar and get any of the paper actually. The papers used to have main research title, And research journals used to limit that how many words you can use in a particular title, actually 8 words, 10 words, 12 words maximum, and then can come up with some short title which can go along actually on every page to have some clarity or to keep some consensus for the readers. So for me, research title is the most important. Research title reflects the research objective actually. So normally I don't focus on research title. I come up with the research title because every research starts with a problem. If we don't have any problem, if we don't want to solve anything, if we don't want to achieve anything, then there's no point of having a research. So the problem, research problem is the most important thing which we need to consider. What exactly we want to solve or what exactly we want to achieve. So research problem will get us the research objective. And if we rephrase the research objective or the purpose of the study, actually we can have the research title. And research title, like for my PhD students, I used to change or alter and edit research title until the last day of their submission. Like more than 50 times so we have changed the research title, not a completely, using the right jargons, using the right keyword. Actually, that's the most important thing. So I hope you got the idea what exactly I'm going to cover in next 30 to 40 minutes. So title of the study summarizes the main ideas or those different ideas of your study. When someone, a stranger, a third person can read the research title of your study, it can give it can give it should give the main idea what exactly this research is leading to or what exactly have been asked or have been conducted in this research, at least some idea. A good title contains the fewest possible words that adequately describe the content and purpose of research paper. As mentioned earlier, getting the research purpose is most important, that what should be the purpose, and then only the research questions or hypothesis and could be, because it should have some consensus, should have some similarity throughout the research actually, from the introductory points till the conclusion actually. If we don't have some connectivity, then it will deviate from the actual point. So it's not only the title, we must have a short title, we must have a running title and the main title. I will be going, you will have some clear idea when I go through these slides, what exactly I mean by this research title and running title and so on. So how to choose a particular research title? Don't just copy that everyone is going in a particular trend. Like recently in last 2 years, we have seen every second tourism paper in a different journal actually was focusing on COVID-19. Yes, because it was a hot topic actually. And recently, when I have seen, and I was so blur actually, within a few days, actually the paper was accepted and was published actually, because every journal was targeting on that hot topic actually. But now if you come up with any topic related to COVID-19, it's not easy to get acceptance in a tourism journal, because it's already actually it's quite overwhelmed actually. We have to ask ourselves that what is my interest of actually, or what exactly is going on in the industry. So then brainstorming, discussing with your circle, with your professors, with your colleagues, and reading again and again. Because when you read even a single research article, it will give you the actual objective of your research, because every research ends with a limitation actually, and those limitations are well described at the end of the paper actually, in the concluding remarks actually. So uh, uh, limitations and the future and the avenues for future research are already given. So try to read the latest literature actually, and then don't jump directly to the introduction, or just read the abstract to have some idea what exactly have been done or carried forward in this research, and then go to the conclusion rather than going through the introduction and the literature review, because conclusion will give you some more detail, slight better than abstract, because abstract is very concise version of the research. That's just executive summary or the summarized version, but the conclusion will give the entire picture, the complete picture of the full research paper or that dissertation and so on. So what are the things that you have always been interest to actually? What exactly now? If you are a tourism student and if you ask me what could be your research topic or title, actually, I'm sorry, I don't know. You must ask yourself actually what exactly is your interest. You want to know why tourists are coming to Malaysia, why coming to India. Now that's too broad actually. What type of tourists you are focusing on? Okay, which type of tourism? Business tourism, leisure tourism, religious tourism, food tourism, heritage, gastronomy, uh, culture. So there's a variety of tourists actually. India is quite huge actually. So take a particular place, like focus on Rajasthan, focus on Gujarat, focus on some other areas, or like Tamil Nadu actually, that which attracts the huge number of tourists. And if you just focus on the tourist arrival, it gives you number of ideas actually, that why tourists are coming, what is the purpose actually, why they came to Malaysia, why they came to India, this particular region, why not somewhere else, and what exactly was the influencing point which motivated them actually. So we have the research title ready actually. What are the influencing what are the influencing factor which motivated tourists, that particular type of tourists, to visit that particular destination in India. So when we go through discussion, brainstorming, and then when you have the keyword motivation of tourists, domestic tourists, international tourists, or that particular destination like Tamil Nadu or Rajasthan or Gujarat or any particular state, actually, you can have the details from their Ministry of Tourism websites also, looking at their recent press releases or looking at their recent publications also. It can gives you idea that what exactly is government targeting, what are their policies, and what exactly is their focus on. Then just choose to become in don't just choose because it's interest in all or everyone actually, because research is not to make anyone happy actually. Research is to make yourself happy, that you have accomplished something actually. You are the best person after completing the research to present actually, that what was good, what are the actual findings, what are the limitations, and what are the future points which you couldn't complete during this research, and that can be the new avenue for the future research. So as mentioned, that research title is not only the starting point actually. Research title is ongoing actually, identifying the problem actually, what exactly is the problem, or what exactly is the trend, what exactly is the thing which you want to achieve. That should be in a focus rather than what should be my research title. I understand most of my degree students used to ask me the same thing actually, but I used to have just 5 minutes conversation with them, rather than I just give them, okay, this is the new research title you can focus on actually. Because when we communicate, when we have some casual discussion, we can identify what exactly the person has an interest of actually. If you are interested in F&B industry actually, or youngster used to go for this fast food chains actually, that is another way of carrying forward your research actually. The because looking at the different tourism products actually, like entertainment, theme parks, hotels, casinos, cruise, restaurants, or the souvenirs. So when we look after a particular keyword, particular area, it can lead to a particular study. Then reviewing the literature actually, you have already identified those keywords, or that problem is somewhere you have read. Start searching about the literature. The best place to search the literature or starting point is the Google Scholar actually, rather than directly jumping to a particular publisher or database website actually. Setting research questions, objective, and hypothesis. What exactly is that? I will be focusing more in detail on each and every topic and a particular content when in the upcoming few slides, when I touch the introduction or literature review or methodology part. But let me give you some idea, like research purpose or research aim is quite broad actually. When we cut down to achieve that purpose in a few points, a few small points actually, those can be the research objective, and research objective leads to the research question. Exactly the same research objective and research question can be exactly the same. Research objective is a statement actually, but research question is a question which start with the question like what, why, where, how, when, and ends with a question mark. And then we have a hypothesis if it's a quantitative study, hypothetical statements actually, that something has an effect on something, or this can be the factor, or looking, if we are looking after the satisfaction or revisit intention or e-word of mouth, a word of mouth, or those reviews actually, which have an effect on these several dependent variables. Then choosing the study design, that what type of study, the research design you want to carry forward. Is it going to be exploratory study, descriptive study, investigative study, qualitative or quantitative in a general, and who are the respondent, who you are going to collect the data with? Are those the tourists or the stakeholders? So we have to focus on, either we are going to look from the supply point of view or from the demand point of view, and then start collecting the data. Everything, like every step is quite huge, very complicated. There are several things which we need to consider, and I have compiled all those methodology section only in a one slide, which will be revealed in a methodology section. Then processing and analyzing the data once the data is collected from the particular target, and then writing the research, writing the report, or writing the findings and so on. But while we are talking about research title, actually, it can be also a research statement. Make sure that research statement is not too broad, or it shouldn't be too narrow actually. If it's too broad, then it will be very hard to conclude at the end actually. And if it's too narrow, then it won't be up to the mark actually. Like if we focus on too broad, men and women are very different. That's very challenging actually. It doesn't matter in which context we are focusing, in which context we are checking that men and women are different. Of course, they are different. They both are two different gender actually. But in which context we are checking? Are we checking in terms of spending? Are we checking in terms of fashion? Are we checking in terms of shopping? Are we checking in terms of their interest, taste, or the food liking? Are we checking which category, which area we are comparing? The men and women are very different, and also where exactly. Now, not necessarily like what we have seen the difference between men and women in Malaysia, exactly the same thing we can find in any country, any other country beside Malaysia actually. So we have to limit our research. We have to focus. Men and women are very different in terms of tourist, in terms of spending in Malaysia. That can be the right point, rather than it can be open. Or in Canada, a person must be 18 years old in order to vote in a federal election. Now, this is too narrow actually. Just focusing on the federal election and only focusing on that particular age group actually. And also your research title or the research statement should focus on one idea only, rather than a few actually. So the successful research statement must be a statement rather than a question actually, because statement is a okay something which is not clear. That is your purpose actually. It cannot be a question. You can cut down that into a few and ask in terms of what is the spending of male in Malaysia, what is the spending of female in Malaysia, could be a research question. And also it should be written in your own words, rather than you have taken, adapted, or adopted the particular quote from some other source actually. Then it will not be a successful or a prompt statement. Of course, there are different types of research. Accordingly, we have to, trim our research title. Actually, it can be a descriptive study, explanatory study, evaluative study. Actually, so these all things. Of course, this is quite advanced. Too early to talk about. But when you are looking at the problem, actually, because problem is the research problem is the one which will lead you to the actual purpose of the study. While you are discussing, while you are exploring the purpose, you can also focus that what type of research methodology will be appropriate, qualitative or quantitative. Is it going to be too descriptive research? Because descriptive research is also quite in demand, because the needs and wants of the customers, tourists are constantly changing. What I like today, not necessarily I will be liking tomorrow actually. So it is in demand. Or looking at the market profile, looking at the tourist profile who are inbound tourists in a particular country, it is very important actually that who are they, where are they coming from actually, and what is their age group, what are their likings, disliking, what they how much they normally used to spend, how long they used to stay, or they used to travel alone, or they used to travel with the families, or the couples, or the solo, or what is the purpose of their travel most of the time. So these all are the all information is the most important to predict the future, to forecast actually. So accordingly, the products and services could be made in order to satisfy the customers in the future. Also, the same way, explanatory research is the most important, which can answer how and why things are as they are used using these things for the prediction, for forecasting. Also it involves to this type of research involves to answer why and how, or some type of causal relations, or some type of causal impact, like if I give the example, like smoking have an impact on our health. If we eat junk food, I okay, the not as a joke actually. If we keep on eating junk food, definitely our health level will go down actually. But if you say if we eat junk food, we will die soon actually. Probably yes actually. Is there any proven? Probably we have to find that can be one of the problem, one of the research problem, like who don't eat junk food, who eat junk food, what is the comparison actually, what is their average life, or what is their average life, the health level, and so on. How long are uh, do they get sick, or do they seek the services from medical professionals very often, or so on. But it doesn't mean, because if we have this type of statement, that's too broad actually. The same way, evaluative research are also important, and this type of research normally used to be in the focus by governments, by agencies, to evaluate the policies which they introduce, or look after the strategies which they have implemented. What is the level actually? What is the outcome? What was the impact of having those policies or implications? And and also to check what is the the status of that particular program which was launched is has been completed 50%, 40%, 30%. Are we still following the gun chart which we have a plan, or we are post dated or pre, or so on. So some of the highlights about the qualitative and quantitative research. Well, quantitative research usually deals with the numbers for the codings, or typically some form of statistical analysis. Different tools we use to have, or we take the help from different tools, such as SPSS is very general, and we have SCM, MOS, PLS actually. These are the tools which help us to analyze the data which we have collected from our target audience. And the logic is very explicit and can be replicated. Like particular study was conducted in a one country, those results are already there. We can replicate the same model in other country or in other area by collecting the new primary data, actually using the same variables and so on. And it often involves the hypothesis testing. That in quantitative research we used to have hypothetical statements that something has an effect on something. So that is something which you are going to find out after getting the data, that hypothesis is accepted or hypothesis rejected accordingly. But if we look at the qualitative research, it doesn't deals with the number actually. It deals with the emotions, deals with the in-depth thinking actually, because normally the the first way of data collection in qualitative is conducting interview actually. It can be a casual interview, it can be a face-to-face interview, it can be a formal interview. So it's like, you have given a question to a person, and you are thrown a question to a person, and he's sharing his ideas, what exactly he see. Or if we give a few images to a person and just look at the image, and what is the very first thing, or what is your opinion about this actually. So those opinions are important actually for us. And assume people interpret experience in highly personal terms. How do you perceive accordingly? And then differ from one person to one person, and it cannot be independently verified at the later actually. So, major component of research, if you focus on research article or the final project, or you are writing a dissertation or thesis at the end of your program, actually the degree program, whatever you are enrolled with, actually these are the few components which you need to focus on. If you are writing a research paper, the cover page should be the stronger cover page, has to be the more focused one, because the editors are reading, this is the very first thing which they are reading, and on this basis actually they are accepting for the review or just rejecting your paper actually without it goes to the review even actually. Then of course we have a title page, and then the abstract or the summary or executive summary actually, that you have to be very careful, and because it's limited with a number of words, like only 100 words, only 150 words actually. So each and every word which you are which you are using in abstract, you have to be very careful actually. I'm talking about a number of words, not number of sentences actually. So, and then after we have a different sections of the research, doesn't matter whatever. If it's a dissertation, normally we have a chapters, introduction, literature review, and so on. But if you have research paper, then we have different sections actually, and it can be renamed, such as normally I don't use the word literature review in my research paper. Normally I say the background of the study, or the review of the literature and hypothesis development actually. So it depends actually. Of course, if you are following, if you are going for the dissertation, you have to follow the university's protocol, university's template, if those are available. Then we have a research methodology, data analysis, discussion, and conclusion. None of the study is complete without going through these five major headings actually. Now heading can be reworded actually, but the content should be there actually. Discussion, conclusion, and the conclusion is not completed actually if we didn't include the implication of the study, or the suggestions. It can be theoretical suggestions, theoretical implications, managerial implications, and so on. Of course, the references, the tables and figures and illustration, whatever you have used throughout your research. Then in the introduction, this can be the major content of your research. So in the background of the study, actually you have to be very careful, like what, because background is something which has to be supportive, and while we are writing the background, we have to follow this like a burger thing actually. Like everything comes after the, every layer is very important actually, what comes after what, and making sure that there is a connectivity in each sentence actually, like topic sentence, then supporting sentence one, supporting sentence two, and then concluding remarks at the end of that particular paragraph of that the background of the study. Making sure that the background of the study establish the general overview of focused study area, such as our study is focusing on motivational factors which influence the tourists to come to Rajasthan to visit or to explore the heritage in Rajasthan. Or Rajasthan can be also a huge, actually just take a particular town or city actually, like a Kota, or if you talk about what is that, Udaipur or something, like the particular city of that. And also it can be a case study of one fort or one place or one tourism product or one tourism area also, because we have to narrow it down actually. I will stress little more while I talk about the literature review. Then describe the broad foundation of your study, provide sufficient background, and making sure that you cite the information, you give the references up to date, and making sure that every major point has to be cited properly actually. Otherwise, it will create some constraints, limitations at the end. Then the problem statement, actually, problem statement should be very concise to the point, and don't come up with a huge paragraph actually. It's better to have a short paragraph, not more than 2 lines or two and a half line actually, or the 3 lines maximum actually. The what exactly, because in the problem statement you are going to focus on different W's actually, which is like what, where, when, and why actually. this is happening, what happened, where it happened, why it happened, and why this problem is important to be researched actually. Why I'm focusing on this? Because this can lead to your research title actually, that this is a very important, this can be the significance of your research. So hence it has to be very concise, keep it simple, short and understandable actually, that stranger, a third person can read once and can understand, rather than he has to read again and again, at least twice or thrice. It means that your context, your paragraph is not clear enough. Then formulation of research questions. Once we have the research problem or the actual purpose of the study, we cut down how many problems we have, like different W's, what, where, when, how, why, and so on. Those all can be the different objective of the studies, and those objectives will lead to the research questions. Just twist that research objective in a question form, coming up with a why, where, when, how, and ending with a question mark. So it can be the research question, or if you are having a quantitative study, probably you can have a hypothesis, hypothetical statements. Then significance of the study, who will benefit from this study, why this study is very important to be explored actually. It can be important, it can be a very beneficial for academia, managerial, or the different ministries at the government level, national or regional, or at the state level or the local level actually, for the policy making. Then if we focus on the literature review, actually literature review is quite huge and very important part of any of the research, and it has to be in a funnel shape actually. It starts from the broad and goes towards the narrow, towards the actual topic actually. Now, if the research is about the motivational factor which influence to decide to travel to India or travel to particular area in India actually. So don't jump directly to the India. Don't talk about the tourism industry in India. Actually, it has to start like at least a few paragraphs, tourism industry or that particular type of tourism industry in a worldwide, then regional, then at the Asian level actually, and then slowly come in India and that particular area, or that particular area can be the case of that particular study. Then the theoretical framework, what are the different variables or those keywords actually which we are going to explore. And then accordingly, once we have already identified that what are the dependent variable or what are the independent variable, and then we came up with a hypothesis, and the hypothesis will lead to the conceptual framework. So for me, if I meet my any of the students, doesn't matter actually, degree, masters or PhD students, the very first meeting we talk casually to explore what exactly is the problem. And then in during that problem actually we find out what are the major things actually which we have to explore, or what are the keywords actually. So we write it down actually, whatever comes in your mind, don't just keep in your mind actually, write it down, pin it down actually, or type and save that file somewhere, and then start searching about those keywords, exploring, having some brainstorming with your superior, with your professors, or the research guide. Even though you can discuss with anyone actually, this academia world is very open actually. You can find any researcher out of your university to just have an idea of actually that what exactly they see, or probably they can give you a right direction, that already the huge range of research being published, and you can read that and can come up with some consensus actually. So so the purpose of the literature review is to demonstrate the familiarity of the topic, that this topic is very important and have been already captured, but somehow there are some areas actually which are still lacking in terms of theoretical implications or theoretical contribution actually. So your research can have a significance in terms of adding the theoretical contribution in that particular area, particular problem solving, and so on. Show your research fits in and accordingly. So how to begin? Search on the Google Scholar, sorting out, having the keywords and organize the context and so on. Defining your research problem, such as whatever I have explained just now, actually, it can be redefined in this only one slide, actually. So the effect of eating fast food towards a sustainable health system of fast food and obesity. So fast food have the link with the obesity, or fast food have a link with the extra cholesterol. Fast food have a link with early death. Fast food have the link with, when we talk about the fast food, actually KFC, Pizza Hut, McDonald, and all those fast food chain comes in our mind. Actually, fast food have a link with the youngster, the teenagers, or the generation Z, and so on. So probably when we look at these keywords, actually we can come up with the title of the study: what is the impact of eating fast food on health among generation Z, actually. So by rewording, so it's not like reach directly or copy the title from somewhere. Actually, have some do some homework. Actually, what are the keywords? Actually, what exactly I'm focusing on? So ask yourself, what is your interest with? Actually, your interest is in terms of behavioral study, like what is the tourist experience, what is the tourist satisfaction level, what is the tourist revisit intention, what is the tourist e-word of mouthing. If they are happy, they will be, or if they are satisfied, they will be doing positive word of mouth. If they are not happy, they will be doing negative word of mouth. So you can exploring the study, the explorative study of XYZ type of tourists among those, and you can have some comparison that the different types of tourists have a different experience, and that leads to the different outcomes, and so on. So in this study, actually, what are the keywords? Fast food, these are the few chains. And if we talk about health, because it was focusing on the health, sustainable health system, actually. So obesity, blood pressure, diabetes, unhealthy, early death, and so on. When we talk about the generation Z, what exactly generation Z includes, adults and or the teenagers, and so on. Where to search, there are the few the portals which are listed here, actually, but I still invite you to just start everything from Google Scholar, actually, or just check your university library catalog, actually, that how many journals or e-journals they have subscribed, actually. But again, it will limit to, because every university institution used to have a limitation in terms of resources. So don't limit your resource, actually. Limit your search. Don't limit your search. Just go to the Google Scholar. If the PDF, if that article is available, download and read it, and go to the references of that, the very first article. Normally for me, it's very important to find the first article for my research, actually. That first article finding, I spare couple of hours, actually, because it leads me, I go through the each the reference list also, that which one is the important I'm going to read again. So I start searching, I copy that link and copy that reference, and I start searching about it. If it's available free of cost, download, start reading. If it's not, actually, definitely you will find some contact detail of that researcher, or some Google Scholar profile, or that ResearchGate profile, LinkedIn profile, and so on. You can ask the person, ask the researcher to send a copy for your research purpose. And researchers are very open, and I'm sure they will definitely send, because when you read, when you use their research in your research, you will be citing them, actually. So that's the positive, that's a win-win situation for each and every one of us, actually. Taking note while you are exploring the literature, while you are exploring the details of those keywords, actually, summarize those key points, and keep a note, actually, highlight or create different folders where you, or different files, Excel files, online files, where you can keep a note, keep a track of each and everything which you have read, or which was. So you must have some filtering points accordingly. So examples of trends and gaps, of which trend or which gap or which area should I go on. Most research focus on obesity, blood pressure. So it's literature is like, it's a huge literature is available on these things. So if you have interest on obesity, try to go for some other issue rather than a blood pressure, actually. Probably a cholesterol, probably early death, probably some serious diseases, actually, and so on, which are result because of this obesity, or eating the junk food, and so on. Increasing interest in sustainable health system is, of course, sustainable or sustainability have been well explored, actually, in every topic, every area, tourism research, we are connecting with the sustainable or those SDGs 17 sustainable development goal by UNWTO, because again we want to focus, we want to share that our research have impact and we are contributing to those SDGs actually. So while we talk about the literature review, it can be structured in a different ways, and the few major structures are like chronological, thematic, methodological, theoretical, and so on. So at the degree level, actually, normally is theoretical, like what are the trends, and then you go through the different keywords, finding the different variables accordingly, rather than go through the time, themes, or methodology. That is quite advanced at the PhD level, where number of words, number of pages, and number of and the expectations are much higher actually. So as mentioned earlier, the literature review has to be in a funnel shape. Actually, it starts from the broad, where you create some background, what is important, what is not important. So not important is also worthy and have to be highlighted, and also has to be discussed that what have been explored, what is not explored, which is the lacking, which is the actually theoretical gap, which is the actual contribution, which is going to be your contribution to this particular research. Then research methodology, actually research methodology is one of the most important content or context of the study actually. And research methodology for me is a kind of storytelling actually, that why you did and how you did actually. So why I have used quantitative research, or why I have used qualitative research, what was the research paradigm, and how I created the survey questionnaire, or I have adopted the survey questionnaire, why I have focused on this one, why I have excluded that one, and who was the sample, who was the target respondent for me actually, and how I have calculated the sample size. That's the most, these questions have to be answered in your methodology, research methodology, and so on. Then, and how exactly you have collected the data and so on. So please hold on with me. In next few slides, you will have the answer for all these points actually. So the research is quantitative, induction or deduction. Research is a qualitative or quantitative. What is the theory which is supporting to your research? Actually, those different variables. When we create the hypothesis, make it, it's not like okay, I like, or I thought, or I think so. There's no I, my, me, myself in the research actually. Everything relies on the justification. Everything you have to support from the literature actually. Everything you have to support with the references actually, that someone have said this one in that particular year, in this particular research actually. So when if you don't cite, if you don't give the reference, you are doing two mistakes actually. Like you have copied someone's information actually, but you didn't give the you didn't cite them. And also if the third person, the reviewer or examiner, when he is reading, he or she is reading your research actually, if you don't cite, probably they will conceive, they will think about that it's your words actually, you thought so actually. And if, and I'm sure they will be the best one, they, that's why they are the examiner or reviewer in that particular area, so they can find much more mistakes in your research. As I have promised that research methodology is quite complicated, but I tried my best to come up with this plan, this chart actually, that where exactly it start, where exactly it leads. If you are having quantitative research paradigm actually, then it can be an experimental study or not experimental. Most of the studies in a quantitative or non-experimental, it can be a descriptive or survey based or the secondary data. Majority of the studies in quantitative in tourism study, in tourism sector actually, or the survey based or focusing on the secondary data and so on. But again, I'm not limiting your you must have some curiosity and you must explore actually. Of course, you can use the mixed method, you can use the qualitative and so on, but every research, every method have its own limitations actually. There are some pros and cons if you can justify that this is the method, because what you like you cannot apply. Your research must tell you that what method you have to use. If the research have been already well explored, there's a huge literature available, there's no need of a qualitative research. We don't need to conduct the in-depth interview to explore more from those experts actually. The variables are well defined, the measures are available, we can adapt from the research, and we can conduct the We can collect the data by using the survey method, and we can execute our research and so on. So this is one example of the framework actually, where you can see there are 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, 6, 11 independent variable and one dependent variable, which is a satisfaction. And these are the factors actually, which these factors are factors for medical tourism attraction as a destination and identifying the level of satisfaction against its performance. The case study of KL Malaysia actually. This was the research was I conducted in 2007 actually for my master's in Malaysia. So again, this model, I didn't create this model. I didn't create the question. Actually, the similar type of study was already uh, done in Iran actually, and I have just adopted, actually not adopted, there are two terms, ADOPT, ADAPT actually. Adopt means 100% copying the same survey, same model actually. Adapt means you copy, you get, you cite it, and you alter the survey, you edit the survey, you adjust the survey as per your needs actually, because not necessarily the Iran and Malaysia are sharing the same type of characteristics actually. So so that is, but making sure that you cite it, that where exactly you have taken that survey or those measures or those variables from, so on. But also, of course, you can create your own questionnaire. Designing a questionnaire requires proper planning. Of course, it's not a easier job, because scale development is one of the most tedious and very time-taking process, which needs which requires lots of rigorous systematic approach. Because what is your aim, what is the actual purpose of your study, which is in your focus actually, each and everything should be justified in your survey questionnaire. Like, must have a clear aims, then define the attributes, those variables, then start a planning, develop each item, and making sure that each item is very concise, and none of the item is duplicating the same type of information and so on. Then have to check the content validity of that survey which you have prepared actually. You can check the validity of that survey, content validity, by sending that survey to any professional, professor, academia, or any professional in the industry actually, such as my research area is business tourism, MICE industry. I have a more focus on conferences, exhibitions, and so on actually, those business events actually. And I deal with from behavioral point of view, that how is their experience actually, and as well as economic impact of their spending actually, that when they come to Malaysia or anywhere, how much they spend and where exactly that money goes actually. The money never stops, there is a lots of leakage and so on actually. So money have a ripple effect actually, each money is keep on multiplying again and again. So when I come up with that type of survey, I send to the myself, Malaysia Convention Exhibition Bureau. There are number of actually the professional, because they are the best one actually, or the Ministry of Tourism, or some professional from convention centers and so on, who are the best one to check the validity, that this question is reliable, this question is more accurate, or it can be reworded, or this question and the other question are having almost the duplication actually. After that, can collect the some data like a 25 to 50 response, to have some pilot test, that whatever I have prepared so far, that it's collecting the actual context of my study actually. And after pilot test, sometime we adjust our questionnaire, and then we go for the actual data collection, then the final preparation, and then we execute for the data collection. In terms of data collection, there are different ways actually, like surveys and interviews, focus group, or interviews can be face to face, it can be one to one, or one to in a few actually, which is called as a group focus group actually, like a 4, 5, 6 people are sitting, and you are throwing a question, or throwing an assumption, throwing a statement actually, and then asking everyone to share their ideas. And then that discussion actually, you are observing, you are recording, on that basis actually you are reaching to the calculating points and so on. There are different other ways of data collection also. I won't go into the detail, but none of the data collection method is the best one, or it's the only one actually. You have to choose choose the right data collection method for your research actually. Again, you cannot take, or you cannot choose because you like this, or that is the easier to collect data. Research will tell you that what type of research is required, what type of data collection and from who and so on. Then we have a data analysis actually. It starts from the introduction actually in the research methodology section. The last heading of that section or that chapter already talks about the data analysis slightly in a probably a short paragraph, that what exactly the test you have done, research analysis, research analytical test you have done. It can be correlation, it can be a regression, or you are running a model by using PLS or SCMS, the structural equational modeling, or partially square, or you are just using the SPSS. Then start from the demographic profile of those respondents. How many were male, how many were female, what was their nationality, what was their gender, age group, and so on. You can categorize those all these things actually in a different categories, like if we focus on age group, like it can be 18 to 25, 26 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, and 50 and above actually. So on, rather than you keep it open-ended actually, if you keep it open-ended, then it will be very harder actually. At the end of the day, again, you have to come up with the different brackets, because if you keep it open, then and you have collected the 100 response, probably you can have 100 different response actually. But if you categorize in those 5 categories, so everyone out of those, you can have an answer only in those 5 categories actually. So it will be easier later on when you are when you are illustrating your results in the research, this findings chapter or findings section actually. Avoid the tables actually, too many tables actually, because tables are the replicating the same context actually, what exactly you have discussed actually. So come up with the graphs, or we should have some mixture of the tables, graphs, different types of graphs and so on, because first appearance is the most important, first impression is the most important actually. Then that creates a curiosity as well as the interest of the person to read and so on. Factor analysis, regression analysis, correlation analysis, and there are different types of tests, but it's subject to actually what is your research all about. You can have some chi-square, you can have a t-test and so on. Then the last section or the last chapter of the research could be the discussion, conclusion, and the implication is the most important actually. Most of the journal used to have their own template and must follow that practical. This implication must should come under the separate heading actually, and the limitations and limitations or the avenues for future research should be highlighted very clearly. And if these are lacking, or if you didn't include, then the research is not complete actually. Now, what exactly is the major difference between discussion and conclusion actually? So conclusion is the one which concludes your entire research actually, from the introduction till the discussion part actually. But the discussion is more on the discussing the findings actually, that those hypotheses or those research questions which you propose in the chapter 1 actually, and then or chapter 2, and then you are answering actually that what exactly is the findings actually. So to discussing those results and supporting from the existing literature actually, that your results are uh, similar or in consensus of XYZ result, or your results are different from those research which you have cited actually. So to restate your hypothesis, to restate your most important findings, highlight limitation of the study, highlight the overall significance, the importance of the study, highlighting what exactly is the new, the unique in your study which contributed to the literature, to the academia and so on, and state the future direction, that accordingly what when we confirm that this is my limitation, so what else actually. So beside limitation, why it is a limitation, probably it can be a funding, it can be a time, or you just focus on one type of data collection method, or you just focus on stakeholder point of view, you ignore the tourists actually, or you collected the data only from domestic tourists, you ignore the international, the foreign tourists actually. So that can be one of your limitation. Accordingly, actually, simultaneously, you can say that was my limitation or limitation of this research. So that can be the avenue for the future research and so on. So when we are concluding, actually, it shouldn't be too huge, a maximum 2 page. Actually, if we are talking about dissertation or thesis or the final project, it shouldn't be more than few pages actually, and should come in a particular paragraph form actually, rather than one paragraph on A4 size 1 page actually. But if you are writing a research article, it cannot be more than probably 1 page. So we have to be very careful that where we are starting, because it concludes from top to bottom, from the introductory section till the last section actually, and it should reveal the actual topic, actual title of your study. That running title should be on the head actually, because your title, your purpose, your objective, your research question, your hypothesis, and your conclusion, your summarizing point, your results should be in consensus of. Otherwise, it will be misleading. And also, please take care of one note. Take note on a few things, such as should have a similarity actually, like tourist or traveler. So consumer or tourist actually. So please don't use these are different terms actually. Whatever you have used actually, continue with the same actually. Otherwise, you have to define again and again actually. And what is the difference between traveler and tourist, and why you are changing again and again. So better to follow like business tourists or the mice tourists or conference tourists and so on. So we should have should have some similarity in time in terms of these jargons or those keywords which you are using. Then summarize your key points. What is the argument? So that argument is the most important, like the my result or the research of current the findings of current research are similar or different from the existing literature. This is a nutshell actually. This is uh, should be taken notes actually, like brainstorm your ideas wherever you read. This is the problem when we listen the news, when we listen some conversation, when we read something on social media or on news or in newspaper or anywhere actually, that clicks actually, those keywords are keep on revolving actually. That can give you some idea, and then brainstorm with someone in your group, with your professor, with your seniors actually, that how do they perceive actually, that can lead to a particular research or not. Then pen down all the topics, because don't keep here only. Okay, and don't talk only, write down, because when we start writing actually, that's the most important thing actually. And then don't jump directly to the writing the introduction section actually. For me, introduction section is the last section actually to write actually. Of course, we have some rough point, these are my aim, objective, purpose, and so on, but I don't write the introduction section actually. I start from the literature, and then after writing the conclusion, I come back to the introduction and I polish the introduction section. Then read the basic background information, finalize your topic, list down the keywords, and start searching relevant studies with those keywords actually. These are the few uh, some helping points actually, which can be used, which help us to correct our grammar, to correct our the contextuals errors in our research, such as grammarly actually. Not necessary that you must have some professional version actually. The free version is available. Quillboard is also which can rephrase or paraphrase a particular point, but please don't rely only on this as copying and paraphrasing actually. But you can have some beta version to get some support on it. Also reference and write or those Mendeley, or there are different tools are available actually. But until now, I have a career for like last probably 12 years of research. Still, I correct or write my references by my own manually actually, because I'm not relying on any of the tool. Because, well, again, if you say that's a traditional, but again, I believe in that and I like doing that actually. So when I go through, when I type, when I do everything manually, I remembers actually that what exactly I went through and so on. So that was all about this topic and title, and I'm ending with another thing actually. I would like to invite all of you, all the students or the professors, the researcher actually. We are having a postgraduate research colloquium next month on 5th to 6th November. It's free. It's an online virtual event actually. But of course, the due date is already passed. You cannot submit any paper to present, but you can join as an attendee participant, because we have hundred plus at the till now actually. So the due date is over, so we are not accepting any new. We have almost 103 papers to be presented, and you can have some idea from those presentations also about your future research. And much more important thing, that we have six different workshop confirmed during this event actually, like what is a case study, theoretical and conceptual framework in social science research, or manuscript for the journal publication, early career researcher, and so on. So these are the beautiful workshops are lined up actually, which can also help you to simplify, or definitely it will be helpful to get some ideas to enhance, to kick start actually, to give you some keyword, or to give you some trend or area to focus more on. So I will be sharing these posters with Dr. Rupa, and along with this my PowerPoint. So I hope that can be helpful to you. And if you have any question, concern, or any of the research you are interested, research of mine you are interested on, you can come in contact with me on my research gate or on my social media networks. Thank you so much. That's all, and I welcome all the questions. Thank you. Dr. Rupa,
Yeah,
thank you.
thank you, sir, for the wonderful session, for so insightful session. So now, since we have came to the end of today's session, first of all, I would like to congratulate to the entire team, and we'll move ahead to the question answer session. So students, if you have any questions, so you can raise your hand by raise your hand, and you can ask questions one by one. Otherwise, you can ask questions in chat box as well.
You are muted. You are muted, Dr. Rupa.
Oh, okay. Anisha, you can ask your questions directly by unmuting yourself. Anisha? Check the chat box. Anisha has raised her hand, but we cannot hear you. Any other questions? We can move ahead to further.
Um, Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. So I have a question regarding the term paper that in our term paper we have a we have an issue of plagiarism. Sir, can you please explain us about the issue of that, and how can we check the percentage of plagiarism?
See, plagiarism is a crime in the research. Okay, and it's not accepted ethically. It's not accepted as morally also. But of course, you can check the plagiarism by submitting your research to the Turnitin. So Turnitin is a tool actually which helps you to find how much plagiarize or what is the percentage. I'm sure your institution, your university must have a Turnitin account. Actually, I'm not sure the Turnitin is a free version is available or not, but there are different ways, different sources actually. But we cannot rely on that. So if your answer is how to find the plagiarism percentage, is just submitting to that portal, the website which is Turnitin. But if I extend more on talking about plagiarism, how to get rid of the plagiarism. So once you have the detailed report of that plagiarism, I mean the which you get from the Turnitin, then you if you see actually that it has already highlighted in that report that which area, which portion is plagiarized or which have been taken from which source actually. So please take that bunch, that chunk of the text and try to paraphrase again. Okay, wherever you can reword it, wherever you can paraphrase in a simple ways or different context actually, or try to put in or try to give some citation, or if it's a quotation mark and so on. So try to reduce that. Revising your text will help you to get rid of that high plagiarism percentage. Hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thanks, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Gargi. Okay, yeah, Gargi, you can unmute yourself. Hello, Gargi, can you hear me? We can move ahead to the next questions if anyone is having questions, and I hope this session is more beneficial and relevant to the master students because they are doing their dissertations and term paper. And to the summarize, sir has well explained the how to choose wisely your research title. You have to choose like whenever you are using or choosing your keywords, you have to choose wisely all the jargons, and that should not be too narrow or too broad. But and also this is basically nothing but it's a journey from the introductions to writing a report and to answer your all questions. So sir has really explained in very well all the components of the research, like starting from the introductions to the result and discussion, and the extended versions of result and discussion, like the implications, without implications and we can the study cannot be done, and how to write your theoretical framework, conceptual framework while you are doing the literature survey, how to choose your research problem. So everything, I think that everyone has got a clear idea about that this will really help them to prepare their like to identify or to frame their objectives as well as title, and as well as to choose the methodology based on the objective. So Gargi or any master students, if anyone is having any questions, just we have to conclude. Already we are running time. So Gargi, can you write in the chat box if you have any, the network issues maybe from your end? So you can write in the chat box as well. Someone has write that how to identify the research problem.
So first of all, what is the research problem? Actually, we have to understand and identify the research problem actually. That's sometimes, I mean, you have to read, okay? You have to read actually. And sometimes we don't think that's a problem or that's a research problem or so on actually. You have to be very critical actually, and then some area. So you must ask yourself that what is your interest? Okay, not necessary from reading only you get the idea. Okay, when I go to any of the restaurant, actually, I look critically each and everything actually. It gives me also different ideas. Okay, what I eat, what I drink, I make sure that I'm having a full confidence on it actually. So what product is this actually? Where exactly it came from? So we have to be very I have to be very careful and critical analysis on everything to having some idea. And finding the research problem is not an issue. Okay, there are a number of issues available actually. So reading and exploring the different things carefully. Then writing down that research problem for your research has to be concise actually. It should be in a way that it should be convincing that this is the actual research problem. And also you have to highlight that why this problem is that much that we need to conduct a research on it. We need to explore more in detail to identify or to get rid of it or to solve this problem. And sometimes we get the problem from industry. Number of companies, institutions, convention centers, they are having issues actually. So they come and they just convey, okay, we are facing this issue. So that is the problem, already predefined, predetermined problem actually. Okay, so after having that problem actually, we spare number of hours to explore more in detail to come up with some proposal actually. Yes, this is the major problem and this could be the solution for it. Okay, but we need a we need a funding for it actually, because we need to study more, we need to get the data, that is the consultative projects actually. Okay, but let's don't talk about those are quite beyond actually. At your level, I can just advise you to read the relevant article. Just find the very first article of relevant area actually. You must ask yourself what is your interest with, and then relevant 2-3 keywords you have already identified, start searching about, read more, read the last part as mentioned earlier, the conclusion point actually, and then what is the limitation of that particular study. So their limitation can be the objective of your study. So someone's ending point is the starting point for you. Hope I answered.
Yeah. So next questions we got from Kia. Kia, can you please unmute yourself, and Gargi, both of you?
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir. Hello.
Yeah,
Yes,
tell
yes,
me.
good morning.
Sir, I have a question. How to develop the quality of writing?
Develop the quality of writing. Even until now, actually, I didn't develop my the quality of writing. That's why I need a Grammarly, because English is not my mother tongue. Okay, and I'm sure most of us. And second thing, actually, it comes with experience. Okay, and quality of writing comes. Actually, no one is perfect here. Actually, I have my professors. Actually, I have good friends of mine who have a research career of 40 years. Until now, when they finish their paper, actually, we send for proofreading. Okay, so proofreading, which are the expert actually, because we don't have a degree or that the education in English specific. Okay, so they are the having some experience in editing of our work or clearing those complexities in our research. Okay, so proofreading is required. But again, of course, now writing from the scratches and somehow it comes with the experience actually. Not the very like first day or the first night you have everything achieved. It comes with the passage of time. How much you read actually. So when I read probably for 3 hours and I write for 10 minutes only. Okay, because read and read. When we read, actually, we capture lots of information. Wow, this is the new term actually, or this is the new way of defining this thing, new way of explaining this thing actually. Okay, so of course we all are at the basic level because every day we are learning new things. So quality of writing comes with the best of time, my dear. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Gargi, do you want to ask anything? Just a moment. Hello. Okay, the next question we got that like how to write theoretical framework of a paper.
Theoretical framework also, you can have the idea of your theoretical framework when you read more literature and relevant literature to your research. Okay, you have already identified what are the keywords, and then what are the variables, what are the different relationships actually, independent, dependent, or what exactly you are exploring actually. Okay, and then when we compile those in a picture form, in a figure form, that's your theoretical framework.
Okay, and how it is differs from conceptual framework.
Conceptual framework is the exact actually where we have only dependent and independent variable. But in the theoretical framework, it's broad, much more broad actually, which includes number of theories also that who have supported that these different relation or these relations have some, this relation exist. Okay. So the role of theory is a more important in a theoretical framework. Actually, there's no theoretical framework. Normally, we call it theoretical model. Okay, and the conceptual framework is like which is your model for your particular study where you are showing the relationship such as like sustainable health. What was that? Sustainable health. That is the dependent variable, and obesity is the independent variable. So obesity has an effect on sustainable health actually. Okay, and also in the different framework you can see that arrow is one-sided actually. That independent variable have effect on dependent variable. Dependent variable doesn't have any effect. Also, when I was showing you the framework of one of the research actually, number of independent variables, those were the factors. And in between you found that satisfaction, which was that dependent variable.
I hope sir has answered your questions. Okay, one more questions that you already discussed about the quantitative techniques. So quantitative methods, anyone can that study can be done based on the non-experimental with the secondary data. So how it can be possible with the secondary data? How anyone can do quantitative study?
What is the secondary data actually? Something which is already available actually. Okay, something which is, it's not like a literature only actually. There are a number of reports actually. I'm conducting a recent research I just submitted actually a few days back on a wellness tourism. And in that research, that's purely quantitative actually. I just reviewed the different press releases actually and different statistics which are already available on your WTO website and on the different websites of tourism websites of different countries actually. So I gathered that information, and on that basis actually I brought my consensus actually, and I reached to my finding.
Yeah. So maybe, sir, it may be the bibliometric analysis as well, right? Like it is also deals with the secondary data, though literature survey through this.
Yes, in terms of research writing, it's possible actually, and bibliometric analysis, or we can say SLR type paper, systematic literature review. But in terms of research paper, research, what you call that, final year project or dissertation is not accepted actually.
No, it's not accepted.
Yeah, it requires primary data. Okay, now again, it's subject to your university policy. If it's accepted, actually, you have to follow. I'm talking in a general, and also what is accepted or not accepted in my university. Okay, and also in most of the the major universities throughout the world actually.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
That's correct. Okay, then any more questions anyone is having? Otherwise, we'll move to the
We
last
have to
part
wrap up.
of.
Dr. Rupa, we have to wrap up in next 2 minutes because 4 o'clock
Yeah.
I have a meeting.
So maybe we have came to the end of the today's session. So on behalf of the Amity Institute of Travel and Tourism, I'm privileged to be here to express my vote of thanks. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you, our Honorable Founder President, President and Senior Vice President, and also the Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, who is always our guiding light, and their thoughtfulness and generosity empowers us and encourage us to bring out the best in us. And a very heartfelt thanks to our resource persons, Dr. Jeetesh Kumar, for sparing valuable time and enlightened us with your expertise. Your presence is highly appreciated. Your expertise and knowledge in the particular area definitely would add great value to our students and as well as the faculty members who require guidance and path-breaking ideas to write a quality research paper. I extend my gratitude to our head of the department, Professor Siddharth Nanda. Last but not the least, I'd like to express my gratitude towards the faculty members of Amity Institute of Travel and Tourism and my beloved students whose active participations is highly appreciated for making this event very joyous and memorable. So with sincere feelings of gratitude, I'd like to take your leave. Thank you all and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Have a great day. And I hope.
Yeah, kindly share your PPT.
Surely.
Yeah. And whatever you have suggested, the coming workshops and postgraduate doctoral colloquium, I will definitely encourage our students to participate for their like to go ahead with this and the registration process and this I'll discuss with you.
Surely. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a great day, guys. Bye bye.